student drivers learning to parallel park. Inside, the air still carried that familiar scent of adolescent sweat mixed with a whiff of cafeteria food. The hallways were silent until the clanging of the bell, then filled with shuffling feet, laughter, shouts, and the banging of locker doors. And up and down, the walls were alive with student murals painted through the decades. With each generation, new murals had been added to the tableau, so the faces of Tupac Shakur, Bob Marley, and Ray Charles now presided over a row of lockers, greeting people as they walked through the front door. From an earlier age, Jim Morrison's giant face still stared out, haunting an obscure corner of the second floor. A row of 4 cartoon Betty Boops, dating to 1985, still kicked their legs high in a chorus line. The full-fledged planetarium was still tucked into the science wing, showing off the planets to elementary school field trippers. Behind a wall of windows was the central office, where guidance counselors had for decades steered top-notch students to the Ivy League. And outside the office hung a tall plaque listing members of the school's Hall of Fame. Performers, politicians, business executives, judges, writers, and more. Most famous was actor Paul Newman, and for generations students joked that they had Newman's locker, though in truth nobody had a clue which locker had been his, and once, when he was asked about it, he replied, "I had a locker?" But while nostalgia often feels good, returning to Shaker was deeply unsettling. Shaker Heights, a suburb of about 29,000 people located just east of Cleveland and situated high above the city, had a decades-long nationally recognized track record of racial integration, but also a persistent achievement gap in education. I had come back to better understand these contradictions. I expected to find some Black students who felt that Shaker was not supporting them academically. I knew there was systemic racism and bias. In America, with its vile racist history, how could there not be? But I did not realize how widespread it was. Even as they appreciated much of what Shaker had to offer, virtually every Black student had a story. So it seems did every Black parent. How did this happen? Shaker had been founded as a wealthy and white enclave of privilege, an escape route for Clevelanders looking to flee the city. Housing covenants sought to exclude Blacks, Jews, and Catholics, and until the 1950s, they were particularly effective when it came to Blacks. Then, things changed. Black and white families came together to create and maintain integrated neighborhoods. It started in one neighborhood called Ludlow and spread to other parts of town, with people of all races making a conscious effort to get to know one another, fight real estate agents intent on keeping neighborhoods segregated, and resist the forces of racism and white flight. Shaker won a national reputation as an integration pioneer, featured in the pages of Look magazine, Reader's Digest, and the New York Times, on the airwaves of ABC News, and in countless academic papers. The school district began voluntary busing to integrate its elementary schools in 1970, even as communities across the country, including Cleveland right next door, were resisting doing the same. Later, boundary lines were redrawn to make the schools more integrated, while similar line drawing elsewhere had the opposite intent. Student groups dedicated themselves to Black achievement, race relations, and cross-racial friendship. One, the student group on race relations, was still leading conversations about race more than 3 decades after it was created. Hubert McIntyre's Minority Achievement Committee was still crowning high-achieving MAC scholars after more than 20 years. It's almost a mantra for Shakerites, Black and white. If any place can navigate the complex issues of race in America, it's Shaker Heights. While many inner-ring suburbs flipped from virtually all white to almost entirely Black over time, the city of Shaker Heights remained majority white, and the schools were about 40% white and 45% Black, decades after the first Black families moved to the city. The community showed that racial integration was possible in housing, and Shaker became a national model for other cities seeking alternatives to white flight. I saw it up close. Through it all, the schools built and maintained a reputation for excellence, sending large numbers of students to elite colleges and developing robust, advanced placement, and international baccalaureate programs. The theater and arts programs were top-notch. Students could take classes in French, Spanish, German, Latin, Greek, and Mandarin. It wasn't unusual for the high school to sponsor a half-dozen international trips for students. Taxpayers, including some of the wealthiest people in the Cleveland area,